Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Politdigm Podcast. My name is Red, and today I'm joined by my co-host Alpha.
Hello, hello.
And today we have finally Alpha's second part of the gun episode. So, of course, if you want to kind of be aware of what we're talking about, you probably should check out the first episode, but then come back. Don't just watch the first episode. Watch the first episode and come back. That's a vital
And
part.
read the blog if you can,
And read the
because
article. Yeah, read the two articles because there's two of them, of course.
because we like views,
Yes, and we of course want
people
people
to know
to
what we're talking about. So
people to be able to actually experience what we're writing. Anyways, before we get into the article, we do of course have to do our obligatory little
plug.
plug of our Patreon. Of course, if you want to support our content and enjoy our content, make sure to support us over on Patreon. If you cannot support us over on Patreon and want to support us in other ways, check out our website where you can find out how you can support us without it being in a money way. And if you want, you can also join our Discord server. It's a public Discord server, so anybody can join. However, if you do subscribe to our Patreon, you get access to some special perks, like submitting questions to our podcast Q&A, where we will try to answer your questions at the end of each episode of the podcast. And of course, also don't forget to check out our social media platforms, where we will keep everybody updated on the newest Politdigm content. With that being said, do your thing, Alpha. Pop off.
Yeah. So what?
Just pop off, just go
I
crazy.
I understood Pavlov, and I was thinking, how the hell does Pavlov fit into this situation?
What the?
Yeah, it's actually funny that you say pop off, seeing as though we're going to talk about things that pop and off other people. So
True, that's I didn't really think of that when I said that. You got a point there.
just take the compliment.
I will.
So, before we start, I am operating at 50% capacity. I am dying. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I am extremely tired. So, if I say something stupider or dumber than normal,
That's what I'm
uh,
here for.
yeah, exactly. You are my fact checker and my whip whenever I get out of course.
Yo.
So, guns.
Yes, guns. What about them?
Do you know what a gun is?
Think go pew pew.
Yeah. What is a gun for?
Murder.
Yeah. Shooting. Now, do you say that you have a very strong emotional attachment to guns?
Are you asking me if I have a strong emotional?
Yes.
No, not at all. I think that having a strong attachment to an inanimate object can already sometimes be questionable. Questionable, however,
Uh,
um,
Cap,
however,
you have emotional attachment to your car.
however, no. That's. However, let me finish the sentence. Having an emotional attachment to an object can sometimes be questionable. However, if you do have some sort of good memory that's there you relate to it, that's fair. You have an emotional attachment to it because of good memories, because of brings you back to that good times.
Or you
However,
just really like the object.
with a gun, that's I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah. So,
When
well,
it's a gun, that's questionable because like what good memories do you have of it? Murder? You're proud of your murders?
actually, you're wrong. Because
How dare you?
as of 2022, 45% of the US's population would probably disagree, seeing as though they reported that they owned a firearm. And not only one, but most likely more than one, because the number of guns per 100 member of the population is 120 guns per 100 people.
Perfectly
So you
reasonable.
not only have one gun, you have more than one gun. You have about 1.2 guns.
Yeah.
And that seeing as though that only 45% of those 100 people have guns, that's a lot of gun per person.
Yeah, per capita. That's a lot of guns. Nobody needs that many guns.
Yeah, you use them because either you think they're fun, you're a nut job, or you are a weapons dealer. That's basically how I see
Or
it.
you're all of them, which is also a
It's also
possibility.
its own category. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, This episode is going to be rough. It's going to be heavy. This is not a light topic. This is something that's been discussed for years and years on end, and we're only going to bring our opinions on the topic, and most likely you will identify some of our arguments as common arguments because
Yeah,
we are
they're
only
reasonable.
voicing some of the most obvious things that have already been brought up by smarter people.
Yeah, and plus, like we talk about more nuanced concepts, right? But like when it comes to a gun, like there's not much more that you can say than
Yeah,
there's only so much you can like talk about
that
it.
is why this podcast and this blog is not only on guns; it's on people who own guns. So I think we should start with some statistics. I found a website which is literally called gunviolencearchive.org, which, from what I researched, is the number one site for gun violence statistics. According to this site, and this is something that I cross checked with other platforms, in 2023, 18,000 people, 18,854 people, that's how you say it, were killed because of a firearm. And 36,338 were injured either by accident, malicious intent, or willfulness.
Yeah,
There were 656 mass shootings in 2023. That's almost two mass shootings per day. And 40 mass murders.
it's
Yeah.
perfectly normal statistics. Definitely
And
not
we haven't even
insane.
gotten into the worst part of it. 1,642 children between the ages of literal 0 years and 17 years old were killed, whilst 4,512 were injured. And whilst the number of gun related suicides has not been confirmed, at least from what I saw, not yet, we can expect a number around 26,000 people, which is 60% of the total lives lost to guns is because of suicide. And suicide by gun is also by far the most frequent way of committing suicide in the United States of America. It doesn't come even close. The second one is asphyxiation. So think, for example, hanging. And that's
I actually would have thought it would be overdoses or something like that.
no, that's the third one.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why, but I thought that since in the U.S. it is relatively easier to get access um, to drugs and stuff, I thought that it would have been like, I don't know. I feel like I would rather. This kind of sounds weird, but I would rather commit suicide with an overdose than hanging myself.
Fair, that's suffocation is not
It feels like
fun at
suffocation
all.
would be like such a slow,
It's
painful
one of the
death,
worst ways to die.
and like drugs, I'll be having a good time until I wasn't.
I'm don't quote us on that, please.
Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke. But like I mean, obviously, like having an overdose, like that's not great. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be like just funny the idea of like, all right, I'm gonna have my last high, and then I'm gonna just get a little too high, and then
You
I'm
can
done.
also get a high on adrenaline by playing Russian roulette until you stop playing.
That's true. That's also a way to get a high. But that's like that's ooh boy.
I have a
Or play
story.
Russian roulette with 6 bullets. I mean,
Okay,
wait,
I
what?
have an anecdotal story of a guy that I know who lives in the States. He's actually from California, and he was having a pretty rough time. And his dad wasn't home, so he went up, got his dad's Magnum revolver, and started playing Russian roulette until his dad came home, which was the most lucky thing that ever happened in his life because if his dad hadn't come home, the next pull of the trigger would have ended his life.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ.
Anyways,
Yes, this is not going to be a light topic. This is going to be extremely heavy
Yeah,
because we are talking about thousands of people's lives.
yeah,
And this is something that I feel really strongly towards. So you can't say that, oh, people just seek guns to commit suicide because it's less painful than hanging or overdose. Okay, that is not exactly true. You are three times more likely to commit suicide if you have a gun near you. And also, that doubles if you live in a rural area. So it's not just that people look to guns to commit suicide, it's that the presence of a gun can also enable you. Because suicide, most of the time, it's an impulse, it's not something that you plan out. And to have just this easy way out, which is just popping a shot in your head, it can be tempting.
yeah. Did you know that? Like, on, I think it's Thanksgiving or something, where each year in the U.S. they give away like these gun safes to like veterans. Uh, and these are like gun safes are like are heavily like locked or some shit. And so like their whole concept, and I think they even have like ads for it. It's pretty depressing because it's like they even have like ads on TV for it because it's like sometimes the idea that like your gun is like locked away and it's like not easily accessible to you because you have to like find the key, get the lock, do this, do that. Or maybe it's like one of those like safes that doesn't even have like a lock, right? It's like something that's just like you need to like break open or something. Like their whole idea is like to make it so hard to get your gun that like by the time you like from the time you go, hey, I want to kill myself because yeah, you're just desperate, to the point where you actually get your gun, like it's so kind of like a hassle that by that point you've like been able to rethink
Yeah.
it. And then like when they kind of started that campaign of like giving away those safes, I believe that, I don't know the statistics, but they did, like there was like a certain like there was a lower amount of veterans who committed suicide during holidays and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's like a good example of exactly that, of like sometimes it's like it's not because, oh yeah, like having a gun near you is going to like is like it's going to cause you to want to commit suicide. It's not like a like a it's not the cause. It's just that
It's
sometimes
easier.
it's really easy, and like it's such like a it's just the pull of a trigger. Like you don't have to get a rope, you don't have to hang yourself, you don't have to get drugs. It's just pick it up, shoot, and you're done. Like it's just really easy, and it can, in a moment where you're feeling really down, it can be the difference between you killing yourself or not killing yourself.
Yeah, there is this movie. What's the name? Give me 1 second. It's this movie with Robbie Williams, Dead Poets Society. You heard of it?
Not really, no, I don't think so.
There is one of the main characters. Spoiler alert, but yeah, one of the main characters is this is basically in a fancy, if I'm not mistaken, American college for rich kids,
Hmm.
all around our age, if not a little bit older, and they meet this fantastic English teacher who is Robbie Williams, and he just is completely out of the box. He makes them write poems. He completely despises the manual, etc., etc., etc. And there is one kid who really wants to do theater, and he is enabled by his teacher to choose that campaign for his life, to choose that way for his life, not campaign, I'm so sorry, to choose that way of life. But his father heavily disagrees until he plays it off to his teacher as if, oh, my father approved, I can do my paper in the play. Turns out that wasn't the case, and so the father goes to the play, watches it, takes his son home, and says, you're going to military college. And he says, that's going to be half of my life. I'll only get out of there when I'm 30. Yeah, no, you are poisoning your mind, you're going to military college. So what do you think the kid does?
Well, in the context of our conversation, I would say that he either killed himself or the dad.
He dresses up as the character from the play, grabs his dad's gun, sits at a table and shoots himself.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ.
How is that a Robin
S-
Williams film? Fucking hell.
You know that scene where the kids just stand up on the tables?
Yeah.
That's from that movie.
Oh, it's that movie. Oh shit. What
That
the
movie.
fuck? Yeah, I've not watched that film. I know that clip specifically. Oh, Captain,
Yeah,
my
you
Captain,
should.
but I have not
Yeah,
seen the whole film. I know of that, but yeah, not that. Holy crap. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. What the hell?
that's why they're saying, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." The teacher is fired after that.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. So, after getting the statistics, let's talk about why. My first argument is why less guns is. I wanted to say why less guns is more safe, but I understood that in terms of grammar that wasn't correct.
yeah, it's
Even though
safer.
I thought, yo, cool slogan.
True.
Um so let's look at Australia, the crazy motherfuckers,
Yet
right?
probably one of the only countries I could actually see myself living in. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but they.
fuck no. I look at the wildlife. I would get in a day.
Okay, okay. Then I choose New Zealand because they're like the less deadly brother of Australia, less
Yeah,
death, generally
they
speaking.
didn't went to death row. They just went to juvie.
Yeah, but it's just like Australia, but not everything around every corner is trying to kill me, and therefore and plus they have like a less hot weather. They also have like a more reasonable temperature, so it seems nicer to me. Anyways, go ahead.
So
Sorry, yeah, Australia.
as you know, Australia had one big mass shooting,
Yeah,
and they said fuck that, and just basically, through all intents and purposes, banned firearms in the country.
yeah. Only took one single mass shooting that basically just went, yeah, no, that's not
Let's look
cool. Was it?
Australia statistics.
It was. It was. Was
Yes.
it 89 or 86? I can't remember.
Me neither. But I can tell you that right now, the death average for people who shoot themselves with guns or either get shot by guns is 0.9 per 100,000.
Yeah,
This is
a total
shockingly in
difference.
context
Yeah.
with the US, which, if I am not mistaken, is, let me double check this so I don't say anything wrong. This is, it's 4.12 per 100,000, which is a lot. This is
Yeah.
the gun death rate. It's the number of deaths by firearm per 100,000 people. The amount of actual deaths this year was around 40,000 people. That is a lot of people to be lost to inanimate objects that don't have will of their own. So, let's. I tried to make a small exercise whenever I was researching for this blog, which was to write arguments in favor and against gun regulations. I'm going to do this exercise with you, as I'm going to tell you what I wrote down, and I want to hear your opinion on it because, holy shit, kill me.
Okay.
Now, let me grab my little notebook, my favorite notebook, and let's see. So, arguments in favor. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of arguments in favor for guns in the United States? Put yourself in the perspective of a MAGA supporter.
Protecting my private property. Protecting what is mine.
Great protection.
Yeah.
Second, what do you think?
Um, Basically being able to protect those around me, but also take down those who I see as a threat.
Great. Would you classify the government as a potential threat?
Possibly, yes.
Yes, that is one
If they
big point.
if they overstep
Yeah.
with their power, quote unquote.
Third, what else do you see?
Uh, I mean, if we're going really MAGA, right? If we're going really,
Go with it.
I'd say probably something in the lines of make sure to evacuate evacuating in quotes every illegal immigrant from my
Holy
surrounding
shit!
area.
I cannot even think of that. That is way too dark for me.
Yeah, I mean, you asked what a MAGA supporter would do.
Well, there.
I got you.
So you want to see my list?
Sure, go ahead.
Let's start from the less radical to the most radical.
Yeah,
First off, industry. Guns are a huge part of American industry,
true,
correct?
true. Yeah,
Okay.
part of the military complex.
Complex too, which brings jobs and money.
Yeah,
Fuck them children around the world, but them missiles ain't gonna build themselves. Second, gun control can discriminate. Because think about it. If your gun control measures are to not give guns to poor people or mentally ill people or black people because they have a tendency to use them more often, then it's going to be discriminatory to those people because they won't be able to hold a gun.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Third, gun control doesn't work.
Okay.
Let that one sink. Okay, let's go. Fourth or fifth, I lost count. Too much power to the government. If you don't have guns, how can you defend yourself? If the government goes a little cuckoo. See? Next one, protection. For you, your loved ones, and your private property. What will an attacker do when you put a 12 gauge slug in their chest? Huh? Huh? Nothing, they'll die. And lastly, the Second Amendment tells you that you have a right to own a gun. So,
Okay.
that was in favor. You want to hear the arguments against?
Wait, can I do it first and then you do it?
I really don't want you to spoil what I have to
Okay,
say.
then you do it. Then you
So,
do it.
yeah. Okay. First argument against the Second Amendment. This is something that I talked about in my previous blog. Do you still remember what the Second Amendment says?
Uh,
Okay, what do you remember?
it's like it's the thing of like everybody has the the right to bear arms to like protect the Constitution and to make sure that what is it? God, what's the word? Um,
State?
no, like that they have like kind of what we said before is like kind of they have the right to have guns because they also have like the right to revolution in a way like they are able to go against the government in case it like goes out of line that the people can protect the people's interest basically.
Yeah, not quite, but you're really close, and I'll explain as to why you're not quite there. This is probably going to be the longest section of the whole argument. Okay? So, word for word, the Second Amendment states a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be
Being French.
infringed.
Yep.
So, what the fuck does that mean? Let's go look at history for a brief period of time. And let's go to a place that Republicans love to go to whenever they talk about guns. You know them, you love them, they're European, and they're.
The Swiss.
Finish the sentence? Exactly. The Swiss. Switzerland. The Switzerland argument. I'm not going into the Switzerland argument just now, but let's put a pin on it.
Yeah.
So, basically, the Swiss are organized in such a way that they don't have an army, but each and every single citizen is trained, and knows how to operate a firearm and defend themselves.
Yeah.
This goes to the Swiss way of life. Basically, I am missing the words. I am so tired. Um,
Yeah, you talked
this
about
I
it. You talked
Yeah,
about it last episode. So if you want to look, if for those
yeah. If
who want
for
to
those who want to
listen
learn
to it, to
more,
go watch the episode. No need to repeat yourself for your own
yeah.
sake.
Basically, what happened was whenever the 18th century came and went, and even the 17th century was going underway, this term, a well regulated militia, and the Swiss were being used in European politics to provide an example of how a society could work without a monarchy. And this idea that if the people are powerful enough to not only defend themselves but their country's best interest, there is no need for an army. And this is the one way in which we can assure peace. Because at a moment's notice, if the people are unhappy, they can change their government. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. When the United States started to form themselves, they really liked this idea. And as such, as you know, most of the forces that fought against the Brits were people.
Yep.
And so this idea of liberty by the people, provided by the people, and assured by the people became one of the foundations of the American identity. However, whenever they started looking west and looking to the amount of lands that they wanted to explore and the amount of genocides that they needed to do to get the natives out of there, it became very clear that they could not, the state could not rely on a citizens militia. They needed to have a military. But the Second Amendment was already written. You can have a gun as a way to ensure that the people are organized in order to be able to protect their freedom as a militia. Now, let's look at American society today. How many of the fucks that have guns know how to use them professionally and are taught to use them as means of self-defense?
No, almost nobody.
I'm sure that there are a lot of people that take pride in discipline in learning how to use their guns, but most of the people that have guns bought them because of something, or because they're fun, because they think they're cool, because they like shooting, because they feel like they need protection, whatever. But a lot of the time, they most likely do not require the necessary skills to safely operate those guns. And this is one of the biggest arguments that I have for gun control, which is that in order to let people have guns, it should be like driving a car. You should obligatorily need to pass medical examination and two tests, a practical and theoretical. And you need to be reevaluated frequently. And the right to have your gun can be revoked because guns do not only meddle with your personal safety, they also impact the lives of everyone that is around you. Something can go wrong with your gun, or you can go wrong and have a gun, and someone else pays. It is not only about the individual, it's about the group. As such, the same way that we have road regulations and we have a lot of testing done to test to see if someone is apt enough to drive, the same should be done in the minimum about these extremely dangerous objects. So, That was the first argument that I have against the high amount of presence of guns in the US. The second one would be less homicides. The third one would be less suicides. The fourth one would be less accidental deaths. Any way to contest these points?
Nope.
Exactly. Fifth one, less ways to commit a crime.
True.
Think of how many armed robberies there would be if people could not arm themselves.
Did you? I saw this. It was. Can I want to read you something really funny. It was like there was a period in California, right, where I believe it was. So it was somewhere in a period of like 10 years in California, right, in like the 80s, I think. And statistically speaking, there was a period there where, or there was like a day, right, like a random day, like there was so many bank robberies that in a day I think that you could be like robbed, like a bank would be robbed 4 times a day or some shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
It's like an absurd statistic. That's like there was like I saw this on like a TikTok. So you know the validity of the source can be questioned. However, like it was like funny because the person making the video was like, at which point you just give up being a bank cashier? Like at what point you're like, I can't be asked. Like I'm
The
getting.
second guy comes in.
Did you watch that one film Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds?
I might. Give me a second. Free guy.
It's like one where he's like a game character
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
where
I
like where
mistook Ryan Reynolds with Ryan Reynolds.
where he like he works at a bank and they're like so used to getting robbed that they don't even like have a reaction anymore. They're like, yeah, like this is part of like we're NPCs. We're getting robbed every day. Like this is just part of life. So it kind of just like feels like that's just like holy shit. Like the amount of crime is crazy.
Yeah. Like, do you know that famous picture of a guy trying to rob a store with a cleaver?
No, actually,
You do not.
no.
Oh, this is gold. Give me a sec. Guy tries to rob store with cleaver. Rob. Give me a second. Tries to rob store with cleaver. This is the image. Like, you can actually see the cashier being like, "Get a load of this fucker." Here's the picture.
All right, sorry for the podcast
Yeah,
audience.
here.
Oh yeah, yeah, Google it. Just Google it. Try not to be on an FBI watch list though. Yeah, that's
It's
funny.
literally a guy holding up a meat cleaver to a cashier, and she's just like looking
Yeah, like it's
to
like
her right,
pointing him
being
at
like,
him
"Get
like
a load of this guy."
it's like pointing at him with like her thumb like sideways, just being like, yeah, look at this dumbass. What does he think he's gonna do? Cut me? Like what the fuck? Like, bro,
Yeah,
there's glass in the middle. What are you gonna do?
cry. Throw the cleaver.
Yeah.
So, okay, more arguments. Yeah, bad gun discipline. I think we already talked about that one. And lastly, the industry. Like, goddamn, if people aren't buying guns, the gun industry just starts to alter, which is not a bad thing.
It wouldn't be. In fact, it's probably like I mean that's why the U.S. loves war so much, and why there's like so many memes on like the idea that every time the U.S. economy is like dwindling, that they will essentially just be part of a war or or finance a war because they need the money of for the weaponry or from the
Yeah.
weaponry to be able to finance
What
the
the
American
fuck is a
economy.
kilometer?
It's just to become a meme. It's that and oil. Like the U.S. is like entire economy is supported by the oil and by the gun industry entirely. Like those are the two pillars of the U.S. economy. If those
Yeah.
two fall, they're fucked. I mean,
Remember
there's
2008? Mortgages went fucked. Now this is the time for guns.
like there's no like it isn't for just random reasons or because they hate because they're somehow for some reason against global warming. No, the reason why Republicans and even a lot of Democrats, including Biden,
Money.
are just ignore every sign of global warming and just keep financing oil extraction and just keep financing big oil is because if they don't, the country is going to collapse because they also refuse to make sure that it's not built upon those pillars. Because if they did that, if they actually tried to, to change the U.S. economy to be built on, like other things other than guns and oil, and actually like did something about it, like they could just fuck off and they'd be fine. But of course they won't because they're also being lobbied by said
Yeah. I actually talk about
things,
lobbying in a
which
later
goes right
podcast.
into your next one of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
next article points, which is gun
Which you
lobbying.
helped me with, and thank you very much for that because I was
Yes.
completely forgetting about the whole lobbying aspect. Now, do you still remember what were the arguments that you had against?
Yeah, I do.
Gimme.
Right. So, well, can you like say the arguments
Yeah.
in support so I can like debunk them easily?
In favor.
Yeah.
Shit. Here we go. Pardon me. We already talked about the Second Amendment. Discriminatory gun control.
So discriminatory gun control, that by itself, I guess it does make sense in the sense that like the U.S. is like social system is so fucked that if they did do any sort of gun control, most likely there would be discrimination, which is like so dumb. And like people of color, and
And I
certain
love,
people.
I love that you know for 100% that it was some fucking liberal that thought of this. Oh, we can't ban guns. Why? Because of the discrimination.
Yeah, well, who's gonna cause the discrimination? Not me.
I'd
Shit.
rather people die than people getting discriminated.
Yeah, but you're the one discriminating. No, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not doing that. So yeah, like
Oh,
in that sense, I can agree. But since I think that nobody really should have any guns, I don't really give a shit. Like it's like what?
yeah.
It's like what?
Okay, next one. You're gonna have fun with this one. Too much power to the government.
See, that was
Let's say
actually
one thing. Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing?
sure.
Snowflake. What the fuck are you gonna do when you have a fucking AC-130 flying over your house? Your Glock isn't gonna mean shit. Your AR-15 isn't gonna mean shit.
Yeah.
Your anti-material rifle won't do jack. Why? Because you have a whole military backing the government. That is not a good argument.
Next week, our article topic is regarding violence. So a bit of a teaser for next week. It's regarding violence, and I wrote it. So I've spent the entirety of today writing that article. So this is something that I'm very in depth in, and I'm not going to spoil anything. But in one sense, it is seen that yes, in many cases you do probably need, or you're gonna like, you will most likely, unfortunately, have to resort to violence to be able to overthrow a government. However, let's keep some things in mind. Like you said, if we are talking purely about the U.S. government, the U.S. government the reason why they have such a strong military is not only so that they can protect their interest in the global South and in generally the entire planet, but also so that to make sure that nobody can ever overthrow the government. They have thought of this. They're not stupid. The reason
Ever
why
heard of the Pentagon, bitch?
or the reason why the third strongest military in the world is actually the American police state or whatever, and the first strongest military power or military group or team or whatever is the American
Organization.
military. So America is part of the top three twice. It starts becoming apparent that even though some could argue that yes, for example, let's say that we're going to do some like Cuba shit and we're going to like overthrow the government to like create a socialist America. Like fuck, that's not going to happen because unless you somehow have nukes in your backyard, the only way that a America can ever achieve anything like that is if they're like being backed by like the UN and like they impose a bunch
Or
of
the or their own military.
yeah, it's like there's no way that like that's going to happen, right? So this notion that we need to have guns to protect ourselves from the government is cool in every other country but the US because that is, I'm pretty sure, one of the only countries where that literally will not work,
Yeah,
which is literally the
it
country where
is.
they think that will work. which
I
is
repeat,
hilarious.
what are you going to do against
Yeah,
fuck jets?
like there's not much you
They
can
do
do.
one flyby and you're gone. There is one short story that I love where this old guy that was in not even a war, it was just a battlefield
Yeah,
where he was on a slope with 40,000 people who were trying to revolt against what he deemed to be injustice. And he just, the troops that commanded the actual country just came down and they were better prepared and better armed, but there were only 1,000 troops. This is, of course, hyperbole. And so the guys just started running down the fucking hill. They all died in the first volley.
yeah. I mean, like that's the thing, and it's something you need to keep in mind that in the U.S. and every other capitalist state, that the police and government, that the police and the military only exist for one thing, which is to protect the interest of the state and, more importantly, the private property of the government and also of the top 1% that are rich,
We're
right?
talking about US or the entire world.
Generally, the entire world, the
I
U.S.
mean,
included.
supposedly the police also serve to protect the interests of its citizens,
Yeah,
but
but
that
that's
depends
not
on the
true.
that depends on the country.
That's generally not true because the laws are not designed to protect, like the current laws in most countries are not designed to protect those who are, poor or those who are in need, the worker class. They're generally made to protect,
Yeah.
the non-working class, those who are, the
Actually,
bosses, the CEOs. And so when you take that into account, when you look specifically only at the US, where laws are clearly designed to benefit the
whatsoever.
1%, to make sure to protect the private property, where you have a police in many states, you literally, like, they function under a police state, like they're like, that's how bad it is at this
Yeah.
point, where there's a literal police states, and where the military has immense amount of power. Like, anytime anybody tries to do anything of any sort that is deemed to be even if it is a peaceful protest, even then,
Carl Rittenhouse.
like, you are, like, most likely, if the
Carl
government.
Rittenhouse.
But see,
Should I say anything else?
Kyle Rittenhouse is not a good example, because the thing is, like, for example, let's see something. For example, you
University
have.
protected by bullshit laws.
No, yeah, no, yeah, in that sense, that's technically the opposite of what I was saying. But yes, that's also true. But what I'm trying to say is, for example, let's keep something into account. For example, during the George Floyd protests, right? The American police was clearly using force against the peaceful protests, and there were many people who were injured, many people who were arrested, many people who were victims of violence for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
However, for example, when in Florida, when you have a bunch of MAGA Republicans waving literally, not even this, I'm not even doing hyperbole right now,
I already know what you're going
literally
to say.
flying Nazi flags,
I knew it.
the police will do nothing. Why? Because they agree, right? These MAGA Republicans. Holy shit, it's raining a lot.
It's raining really hard.
Sorry for that, listeners. They will do nothing. Why? Because these MAGA Republicans don't actually pose a threat to the United States government. They are literally just echoing what they already like. So they don't really care. And it's funny because those who most protect their guns, and those who most want so much their gun rights, those who are usually Republican, the government doesn't actually see them as a threat. And they will never impose themselves as a threat, because they want the Republicans on their side. So this idea, we will need our guns eventually to protect ourselves from the government, is bullshit, because that will never happen. Those who actually at some point might need the protection to protect themselves against the government, like people of color, generally the oppressed working class in the United States, those who actually have to protect themselves against those who are a bunch of assholes, don't actually own guns. So
Yeah.
a bit of a dumbass momento there when it comes to the U.S., because those who have guns and are just obsessed with the idea that they need guns don't actually need them, and those who hypothetically, I'm not saying that need guns because I don't think anybody needs guns, but those who in
Terms of
a
the argument that it's presented would benefit the most.
yeah, those if the government were to step out of line, if they were to get violent against their civilians, those who would actually need it are those who most likely do not have guns
Yeah.
because they don't
Like
see a purpose
for
in
all
it.
those for the casual racists listening, I'm going to give you an anecdotal example, but I love this so much. Do you know Tunisia, the country, African country,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Racism, Africa, less than America, right? You
Yeah.
know what they did to their police system?
What?
And I heard this from someone who lives there. So it might just be to his district, but even then, it's so much more than the US has ever did. The police do not have guns. They have batons. Do you know why? Because there were so many cases of policemen shooting their families when they arrive at home that the government bans policemen from having guns. And still, everyone respects them. Because if you give them a dirty look, they of course will bat you in the fucking head. Is that right? No, still better than getting shot.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah, let's move on.
let's move on to the
Uh,
next topic, which I'm guessing is the lobbying one, or am I wrong?
no, it's Switzerland.
Oh, still, what
But I
Jesus?
just wanted to say one little quick thing about my last argument in favor, which is the protection one, which is so
Yeah.
stupid. Because why would you need a gun to protect from someone who might have a gun if there are no guns?
Yeah, it's like
It's like
literally,
the nuclear example.
or
Why would you
even
need a
let's
nuke
go
to protect
even.
from someone who has nukes
You don't even
if
have
no
to
one
go
has
so
nukes?
complex. You don't even have to go so grandiose. Just imagine a Mexican standoff, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Most people know what a Mexican standoff, right? Is which is a group of people who all have guns pointed at each other, which are all hypothetically protecting themselves against those who have guns. If a Mexican standoff without guns is not possible, there will be nobody trying to kill each other. It is
Also,
that
what is the
simple.
highest cliche with Mexican standoffs? Everyone dies.
Yeah, like everybody gets shot at the same time, and you're like, oh, okay, that was a waste of time. Okay, let's move on.
It's literally crabs in a bucket. If I'm gonna die, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's like okay, cool, right? So yeah, it's like suicide with extra steps. All right,
Yeah.
you do you, buddy.
So, Switzerland. This
Yes.
the Swiss argument, just like I said previously, is the favorite argument given by Republicans. The Swiss have so many guns. They're the country in Europe with the highest guns per capita. I'm pretty sure it's like 20 guns per 100 people.
Yeah.
But they have so few gun-related deaths. Why?
So you have gun control.
And
We should.
yeah,
You have
and
extremely
I'm going
strict
to
gun
delve
control.
into that. Okay, first thing, automatic firearms and silencers are banned. They are illegal. Second, military attendance is mandatory for men that are 18 years old or women if they so please. It's optional for them. And whenever they're doing their mandatory military attendance, they are taught how to operate, maintain, respect, and keep their firearms. Only afterwards they can apply for a license, which allows them to own a firearm, excluding bolt action and multi barrel hunting rifles, which are used for hunting. And even if you get that license, you must have a clean criminal record, and you cannot be deemed dangerous to the rest of Swiss society. In case the police has any doubts about your state of mind, or they might question themselves that you are a danger, they can talk to a psychiatrist or the individual's friends and family to be sure of their state of mind, of their health, and, for example, if they can have any type of substance abuse. And after that, they also have full power to revoke the license. Even then, if you have the license, it is only valid for 9 months, and you can only have access to one gun. So after 9 months, you gotta redo everything. and you can only have one gun. So no having 20 AR-15s and an AK-47.
Yeah, it's like the God. It's raining so much. I don't know if that's picking up with the mic. It's like a whole ass storm outside.
Yeah,
Um,
it's yeah.
but like, what Switzerland has done is essentially the veteran lock safe thing, the gun safe thing, but like in a broader scale, which is that yes, you can have guns, but it is so difficult. There's so many steps, and it's such a nuisance to keep being able to have a gun. It's basically not worth it at that point.
Yeah.
It's just not like, why would you want to do that? Why would you
Right.
subject yourself to that much bullshit every 9 months? It's like, geez,
Yeah.
like fuck, I'd rather not have a gun. Like I can't be asked to do something like
And
that.
even then, you are constantly being monitored.
Yeah,
And also, the environments in which you use those guns are either for hunting or,
gun
most
ranges.
commonly, in gun competitions,
Hmm.
which are held in the utmost safe places and gun ranges, with schools sometimes even, and children who learn how to, in these environments specifically, accompanied by their parents or their legal guardians, learn how to use and respect these firearms. It's not like, that video of a bunch of kids who are from the southeast or southwest, and they're saying, "That's why God created man and woman and the Remington action rifle."
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what we are talking about. Versus Lil Timmy went to the range to learn how to shoot a target for the first time in his life, and he was in such a safe environment that he could not, even if he tried, turn his gun to the size or up and down in such a way that it would hurt anyone else. And Lil Timmy cannot own a gun. And then you look at America, and you look at companies being like, "Yeah, this model can be used by children."
Yeah, there
And
was
you're
like
like,
that one like mini AR looking thing which like could be bought by children or like could be owned by children or some shit.
"Yeah," and that terrifies
And
me.
everybody's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, are these people insane? Like, you're giving guns to
They
children now?
ban ninja stars, and they don't ban that.
Yeah, it's a bad choice of. Oh damn!
Yeah,
So that's a whole ass storm outside.
that's
Um,
lightning and thunder. Let's go.
yeah, there's a bunch of I could literally feel the ground shaking. Holy shit!
I can feel myself shaking.
Yeah, that's just you like
Yeah.
being cooked on fucking meth.
No, okay, shut the fuck up. This is
Caffeine,
why there is
caffeine.
literally, shush, there is literally no way to compare these two societies. It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah,
The way gun culture works in the US is so fundamentally different than from the Swiss is astronomical how
yeah.
different they are.
It's completely different. It's not something they can really just
Compare.
compare. Yeah, it's like for example, one of the best. It's kind of related in some ways because yeah, it has to do with like a violence. But like for example, in the U.S., every time the American president wants to step outside of the fucking White House, there needs to be a whole fucking procedure. There needs to be this like whole convoy, and then like in Europe, every like literally in any country, any politician can just step outside and just walk around a city, maybe two bodyguards, maybe four, and they're just like, yeah,
And
whatever.
our president takes selfies with people.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, what the fuck?
And he goes to the beach.
Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a completely different
Do they
reality.
have armed security? Yeah, sure. Of course. They do not have the fear of getting sniped like Kennedy, though.
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy. Well, I mean, I'm not
Guys
gonna say
say
anything, but
more.
I'm not gonna say anything. But you know, Kennedy was it an
I
inside
mean,
job? What?
when your own FBI fucking murders you,
CIA
to be honest, at this point, I kind of believe it was the FBI.
doesn't matter. I mean, the CIA is the secret
I mean, the
agency, but
FBI literally killed MLK, so
yeah, well, like the CIA is better at keeping secrets than the FBI, notoriously.
that's why everyone knows that it was them.
Holy
'Cause they,
shit!
yeah, I heard that. I heard that through your mic.
Jesus Christ! Okay,
Oh,
though.
it just got here now.
Yeah, god damn. Uh, this
Yeah, let's go to
this
the
episode
last.
has been presented to you by Thunder and Death.
Yeah, lightning and
today's
thunder. Get yours now.
today's sponsor, Death.
Why would you have a gun when you have the nature?
We have nature striking you with the
By
power
the
of
power of
Zeus.
Zeus and oh, we share one brain cell.
Yeah.
By the power of Zeus and anime on my side, I smite thee. So
Anyways,
yeah, let's go to the last topic,
yes.
gun lobbying. This one's going to be short because I really can't say anything else besides what I already have written down, which is in 2023, the NRA, which is the National Rifle Association.
Oh my God,
Uh,
the existence of the NRA is so pathetic.
yes,
They have a literal
yes,
like advocacy group towards guns. Are you fucking?
yes.
Are you like
And
how?
gun owners of America and
Jesus
other
Christ.
groups such as that spent $10 million on lobbying, and a lot of times actual manufacturers also lobby. Think of Smith& and Wesson, who spent $185,000 in 2021 to lobby politicians, which we, of course, in Europe call bribing and corruption. But
Yeah,
because in America, it's lobbying.
corruption is legal in the U.S. essentially, which is hella funny. Well, it's illegal through
Well,
a bunch of loopholes that exist that everybody knows about, but nobody will do anything because the Supreme Court won't actually act upon it because the Supreme Court themselves
because
are being lobbied.
money.
Yeah, there's a great video on YouTube by a YouTuber called Austinox, which is also famously known as one of Hassan Piker's editors, who made an entire like satire, but also technically very real instruction video on how to do like lobbying slash corruption in the U.S. Like perfect, like it's perfectly legal what he shows because it's literally how it works. And he did that as like a joke, but at the same time, kind of like trying to inform people to how it works. And obviously, I don't remember anymore because whilst I find it interesting, I'm not going to fucking memorize it. But it's relatively easy when you think about it, which is pretty
Yeah.
horrendous.
Well, you can make a video as a guide, that shit's gone south.
Yeah.
So,
So it was like it's like a
also,
5 minute guide too. It's not very long. It's not a long video, anyways.
I was thinking about half an hour, but that
No,
just
it's
disappoints me
really
more.
short. It's a really short video.
And then when you remember that a lot of the times the fact that a politician is backed by one of these organizations or is just anti or pro gun laws is used as the basis for people's voting choice, it's actually really fucking scary.
Because you just have this sudden like realization that, oh, okay, no matter what I do, no matter who I vote for, it doesn't matter because
Or even then, you just look at a candidate to say, I don't know this guy, but he likes guns.
Yeah.
And then your state just goes to shit because you voted for a guy whose only appealing aspect was the fact that he liked guns.
And it's such like it's stuff like the NRA is like a perfect example. Oh shit, sorry, a perfect example of like how truly corrupt the
Yeah.
like the American political system is. Because how is it that how is it that so many people or that are being paid to change their opinions, essentially change their opinions to cater their opinions towards private property owners just for the sake of perpetuating an entire industry that all it does is fucking fuel or create wars around the globe. It's like holy shit. It's like what the fuck are you doing? How is that the
Yeah.
U.S. thinks himself as the greatest country on the planet when I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it,
God.
can be
That's the answer.
can
It's
be
always God.
can be objectively seen as one of the most evil countries ever. That's a very objective and like very unscientific way to put it, and it's not something you can really statistically prove. But holy shit, like it does feel that way
I
sometimes.
fucking love how John Oliver put it, which is if you got shot in the back, the NRA would tell you that it could have been prevented if your back had a gun.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? It's like what, bitch? What? No. No, that's not how guns work, you dumbass. Fucking like, it's like how much. And the worst thing is, there are some people in the NRA, there are some people that are in the U.S. government, there are some people who back guns who are very aware that what they're saying is bullshit. That all that mumbo jumbo about
I choose to think
guns.
that most people do that because there is
But
no way.
there's
There is no
obviously,
fucking way.
as much as we would like it not to be real, like you're saying right now, there's definitely some fuckers who definitely are not that smart
Yeah, believe
and
me.
actually believe it, actually believe all that garbage. which is insane and laughable and pathetic.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a small example. This is my own anecdotal history. I did martial arts for a period of my life. I did 5 years of Brazilian martial arts, which was one of the most founding memories that I have, and most defining years when it came to how I perceive other human beings. And I had 3 years of Japanese martial arts. And one time we were being coached on gun safety. You know what was the first thing my sensei told me?
No.
If you can, do what that person is telling you to do. If they're asking for your wallet, give them your fucking wallet. This is not a movie. You are not an action hero. If you are faced behind the barrel of a gun, you can very much die because you make a small mistake, or the person who is holding that instrument capable of delivering your death doesn't want you to get out of there alive or makes a mistake. It's not a game.
My one of my favorite like delusions, or one of my favorite personal delusions, is that if somebody would like try to rob me with like a knife or something, and I just, this is a very weird thing that I've thought about in my past, which is that if I act insane enough, they'll just be like, "Fuck this," and just be like, "Nah, I am. This
I
is
have a
not.
story about that. I'm
This
pretty sure
is
I've already
not
told
worth
you.
it." Just like it's like my mind is just like you just stand there, you look at him, you like pull your pants down, just bare genitals out. You just start laughing and just doing a bunch of like crazy, goofy
Never should have come
noises,
here.
and the person is like, and like you just like started laughing manically. Like I'm sure that the robber is gonna be like, nah, not worth it. I don't
And
care.
yeah,
Fuck this, and just
I
leaves.
have
It's like a
a
success.
story. I was with a friend of mine, and we were making our way downtown, walking five places about,
Yeah.
and the three guys just come in front of us and they say, "Give me your wallet." And I say no, and I try to push past him, and he pushes me back, takes out a pocket knife, and says, "You know what this is?" And I picked up a rock from the street and said, "Yeah, you know what this is, because you're not gonna leave here with all your teeth if you want to go that route."
Yeah.
That worked for me. It was one of the stupidest fucking things I have ever done.
And in context, Alpha does a lot of stupid things.
Yeah, and t- we are not action heroes, okay? Do you know how fucking hard it is to disarm someone? It is not easy. When
Yeah.
people grab something, they grab it hard. These things are made to not be let out of your hands so easily. I one time we were playing with a fucking prop, and it was a prop gun. It was made of wood, and I did the technique wrong, and I got bashed in the head with wood.
Okay. Yeah. Uh huh. That's sorry.
I didn't get shot. If it were real life, I would have been dead. It is not. There is no power. There are power fantasies, but that's a fantasy.
Yeah.
You are not John Wick. You are not Rambo. You are not Jack Reach. You are average fucking civilian. And you will suffer the consequences of any mistake you make. And it's really easy to make mistakes. Even people that are trained make mistakes. There is one great video that I love. It has 10 martial arts pros that have been trained for all their life, put into an environment where there is no way to knock out the opponent, and the opponent has a knife, and for 30 seconds they are trying not to get stabbed. No one passed. No one passed. And knocking someone out isn't easy. And that is with a knife.
Yeah.
You don't know what a gun can do. Shit, a shot goes out near your head, you're deaf.
I'm. This might be gross misinterpretation of reality, but I'm guessing that the only and probably the only seemingly possible way that you can actually disarm somebody with a weapon, and even then I find it highly improbable of it working, is by somehow appealing to their humanity. And even then it's like and not even appealing to their humanity, like being like, is this truly worth it? Like, is
Yeah,
this, does this make sense? You're like, you're potentially, like, you're potentially going to kill me for 20
yeah.
bucks. Like, this is not worth it for the rest of your
Even
life.
when I
You're
was
going to be on the
taught,
run for murder
yeah,
for 20 bucks. Like, that is, to me, that is the only way you could possibly make the person go, okay, maybe this isn't worth it. Because if you actually try to like do some John Wick shit, you're fucked. Like, you're fucked. Like, it's
yeah.
not.
Even when I was taking the said gun class, the technique we had wasn't to disarm. It was basically put the gun. What our master told us was, okay, what we're going to do is do this, and basically you just try to make the gun as close to the other person as possible, because the idea is if their gun is close to them, they won't fucking shoot.
Yeah.
So while you move in the opposite direction of the gun, you put the gun near their head. And even then, it is a high fucking gamble. And he looks at us and said, "This is your last fucking resort. This is if you know you're going to die if you don't do anything. 20 bucks is not worth your life. Your phone is not worth your life."
Yeah.
This is why I think that this grand idea of if I have my gun, I can protect myself, that's not how it works.
Because if you both have guns, you're both gonna die. It's that simple.
And even if you protect yourself, you might have injured or killed someone.
Yeah, you might injure yourself or injure a loved one, or like, how many stories like are there out there of like children getting hurt because their parents were trying to protect said children in like a house robbery or some shit, and then accidentally like shot their
Yeah, or
children.
siblings just trying
Or
to play
yeah,
with guns and just shot the other sibling.
like there is absolutely, I just saw a flash of light in my window. Uh like, how many, like, there's no logical way to argue that having guns versus not having guns is somehow better than not having guns. There's absolutely nothing you can do, because just means more death in general. Like, there's no feasible argument that's
No one
like,
wins.
it's like nobody wins. It's like, oh, I talked about it this with somebody I know once, and they're like, oh, but like, how will cops, if cops don't have weapons, how will they enforce the law? It's like, bro, like a taser maybe, I don't know, like fucking they'll find a way. Like,
You don't gotta die.
it's like there's other ways. Like, you don't need to immediately go to the nuclear option. You have to immediately fucking murder the person. Like, disarm them. Like, tase them to the fucking ground until they're like fucking do something. Like, don't just immediately put a bullet between their fucking eyes. It's like, shit. Like, that is not the right like answer. Like, you don't need it to be carrying weapons everywhere. Like, there's
You
plenty
know,
of countries who have police who do not have guns, and yet they do their thing. Like, do they do it well? Probably not, because generally speaking, the police is a very fucked thing. So,
yeah.
like, no, like, shit. Even
Yeah.
police not having guns is a better thing.
Yeah. Like fuck. People, I think, don't understand that it's so easy to take a life, and it's impossible to revert that. If you
Yeah,
take a life, that's done. Someone who was alive, who had dreams, aspirations, emotions, most likely people that cared about them in some capacity, are gone.
it's
And
funny.
you want to preserve your rights to have a fucking inanimate object so you can have the possibility of doing that. So you can potentially pull a trigger and end someone's existence.
It's funny because like what you just said is what one argument that I use, or like an example that I use to like, to even, okay, not, of course, if I'm talking to somebody that's more aware of, like, for example, what it means to be like in prison, or like regarding the prison system and stuff like that. But when I'm talking to somebody that's much less educated on this topic,
Psychopath.
one of the best arguments that I use against, for example, the death penalty
Yeah.
is, like somebody that's like has like a very fixed idea of like, oh, we need a death penalty because some people just deserve to die.
Oh,
Like
you don't need that.
let me finish it. Like there's like some people who committed a crime so bad that they just must die. And then, first of all, I don't agree with the death penalty. And generally, I don't believe that. I believe that the prison system as it is should be abolished, and then we should do, like other stuff. Not the point of the article. However, the podcast. I mean, why do I always fuck that up? But like one example that I use is, oh, but if you think this person deserves to die, right? This person has been so bad. This person has been so horrible. Then surely death, granting them the sweet release of death, would be the least suffering way that they can exist possible, right? Like death is instant. Death is like after death there is nothing. There's absolutely nothing. That person is no longer aware of what they did. Then surely putting that person, even though I don't agree with it either, putting that person in prison for 50 years where they lose their freedom is a much bigger torture than giving them death. And they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, bro, like you're not even good at your weird revenge shit. Like shit, like come on. Like at least if you think people should suffer, at least make them suffer. Like death is not suffering. Death is
Use your
quick.
gray matter, you fuck.
Like death is quick, instant, gone. Like you have like at least you can live the rest of your life knowing that that person is rotting away in prison. I don't like that. As who I am, me, the person speaking, I don't like that either. But like from the perspective of the other person, what they're saying doesn't make any sense because death is just that's it. That's gone, over, nada, finished. Like there's nothing else afterwards. So yeah, it's really dumb to have like this argument of like, yeah, we need guns, we need just a bunch of guns. It's like shit, like what will we do without guns? And I think that you talked to me about this, but like one of the motives you had to, or like one of the things that motivated you to write this article was or these articles was a video by Boy Boy, right?
Yeah.
I watched that video a couple of days ago, which is weird, very weird, because there's this YouTuber I like watching, right? And he recently got a girlfriend, which is which is a TikToker. It's very weird this
What's
weird.
the
And they went on a podcast, right? They went on a podcast in Texas, right?
oh fuck?
And suddenly, like, I didn't watch this full episode. There was like 2 hours and a half long. I just watched a couple of clips, but then I started suddenly realizing that like the hosts of the podcast, which were three guys, were a bit edgy, right? And I started kind of, and they're giving me a bad vibe. They're giving me a bad vibe. And then I like closed the video and I suddenly like got started getting videos recommended from them. They had like this clip channel, right? And there was like this video of like, I don't remember what it was, but it was something regarding Boy Boy, right? And it was like, oh, I don't have beef with any YouTubers except Boy Boy. And they start talking like, oh, because they invited us to a video and then like started talking about us badly and we weren't aware of it, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then they made a video about it against the guns. I was like, oh, holy shit, whoa, these the guys? Like, are these like guys who like they were making fun of or some shit? So then I watched the Boy Boy video, the one that you talked about to me several moons ago. And I watched, I was like, Jesus Christ, these guys are delusional. Like they have no idea. Like they like, it's funny because like the video, their response right on their podcast was like, oh, like they kind of they kind of tricked us into like making us look bad. And then and then you watch the videos like, bro, they're not making you look bad. They're literally showing clips of you like justifying cops murdering innocent people and shit like that. What do you mean they're making you look bad? You make yourself look bad. They're literally just showing what you believe in.
Like
Like,
the main guy, I forget his name, Brandon, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I
Right?
think so.
Even posted a comment saying, "Thank you for not taking things out of context, even
Yeah,
especially in the later conversations, even though we do not agree on the same things." By the way, who's the YouTuber?
yeah. The one I watched, which went on their podcast,
Yeah.
Oompaville.
Oh,
Yeah, that
oh
was it.
fuck! I knew there was some reason why I didn't enjoy his content. Yeah. So, yeah, you still alive?
Yeah, sorry, my dad interrupted me. Yeah, but yeah, that it was such a weird thing because like it was like because like for example like Oompaville, right? This is random shit kind of thing, but like Oompaville, like he talks about guns sometimes in his videos, but he has like a very like gun safety. He like talks about guns. He says that he likes guns. He owns them. He like shoots them. He has fun with them. But like he talks about like we need like it's very important to have gun safety and like guns are not for everybody. And I like guns, but I do not like guns are not to be used as weapons. They are to me they're simply something that I like in like a recreative way. But like that is all he does. Like to him, he just likes going out to his like
It's a
private field.
fucking toy.
Like I know, but like
Who would have guessed?
but like in his like at least he's like all right, yeah, this is my thing, but I'm not like he's not it's going like yeah, like cops they need to murder more people because people get out of line. It's like at least that, right? Like I don't agree with Villa in that sense. I don't like guns at all. But there's levels to it. There's like there's different versions of like going like oh yeah, I believe this, like I have guns and whatever, but then it's like oh yeah, like I have an entire channel where I look at videos of cops killing people and then I'm like no, this was good, this was a good thing. And then whining about how two Australians took you out of context. I thought like when I watched that first clip, I was like, this doesn't feel like something Boy Boy would do. And in a way, I can get their point. Like, yeah, that if something happened to me like that, if some Republican or some like right wing person went to me, had a conversation, and then said it was like making a video about something I enjoyed, and then actually made an entire video shitting on it, I would probably be like, all right, like this is kind of annoying. But like in this scenario where like all when you like actually watch the video, you understand that oh, there's actually some substance to it, right? There weren't just it wasn't a personal attack at any point. They were simply showing clips of these people saying these things and then using that to explain why guns are bad and how they can perpetuate a culture that is horrendous and everything that we talked about in this episode. And so and you see that like in the video, like even at like he talks fuck. Do you remember where one of the boys where he's from that he like even says how like one of the
Yeah,
guns that
yeah,
the guy
yeah.
had was like
Okay.
using a like
Slovakia,
yeah, I think it was like it was one of the
other countries.
yeah, and it was like yeah, like how one of the other guys, the gun owners had like he had like a well, like a gun that
Machine gun
was
that was
used.
used in the conflict. Yeah,
Yeah, it was used like during like a war or something or like a civil war. I don't remember exactly what it
it
was
was
like.
used during the Civil War that made him and his family move out to Australia.
Yeah, and it's like when you like every any like at that point before that point in the video I was still like, all right, yeah, that is a bit of a like I like the boy boys and I like their content, but like that was a bit of an asshole move. Like I could have still been like, okay, that's a bit of an asshole move, but after that one and being like, fuck that, nah, never mind. Like that's after that specific thing, I can truly understand that. Like, yeah, that's just is so fucked. Even like when he even told them like that's where I'm from, and they're still like oh, but this is so cool though. It's so cool like that these guns were used. It's like, whoa, yo,
These
you
things were
got
used to kill people from my country. What the fuck are you
it's
talking about?
like there's like a clear misunderstanding that like these guns killed people, like these guns inflicted death upon many people, and you're talking about it as if like some fun little gadget that you own. But yeah, go watch that video. That's just a good video from
Yeah.
the boys. They do
Well,
great
that was
videos.
basically all the gas that I had in my tank.
Same. And I gotta go talk to my dad because he came to my room for tech support. I don't know. This it's the first time I've ever been interrupted during a recording. I think. Sorry for
Yeah.
that to the listeners. But that was
But
pretty funny.
yeah,
My dad was like looked at me and just had this face of like, oh shit. You
yeah.
are recording. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, ah.
My bad.
I just leave like, oh shit. That's really funny. But yeah.
But
Anyways,
yeah, everyone, thank you so much for listening. This
yeah,
one was hard. This one was so hard. I was feeling so destroyed when I was searching, doing the research for this blog because as someone who despises human suffering, especially uh, pointless suffering. I cannot rationalize the fucking phenomena that is America and guns.
In American gun culture.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's funny
to
because like when Alpha's like writing like articles, like it's a very common thing, and I've talked about this before in previous episodes where I'll just be chilling and he's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself and I'm gonna take a bunch of people with me. Like I'm so sick of this shit. He's like, he just like gets into this like fucky mindset where he's just like losing it, and it's funny because like I'm kind of the opposite when I'm writing articles. I'm like, bro, I'm ready. I'm ready for war. Like I'm pumped. Like I'm gonna fucking start a revolution right now. Like I'm in the complete opposite. Like I get hella motivated, hella hyped, and he's just like, I'm going to blow my brains out. I am out. I fuck this shit. I cannot do this right now. And with that in mind, next week we have a very interesting article coming up, something that I wrote and I'm very proud of. Don't know if you, Alpha, have had time to read it yet, but I think that for
yes,
my
but I,
what?
not yet, but I will.
But I guess, but I think from my little synopsis that I sent you that it's
Yeah,
a
I got.
it's a nice one. And before I do our little last plug of our socials and stuff, the question for the next article, the question that I pose in the next article, which I want you guys to think about, is socialism possible without a violent revolution? That is the question I try to answer in the next article. And with that, don't forget to support us over on Patreon if you enjoy our content. If you want to support us but can't support us on Patreon, you can check out our website and see how in what other ways you can support us that don't involve money. And of course, if you want, you can also join our public Discord server. And if you do that and support us over on Patreon, you get access to some special perks like the podcast Q&A, which usually, if we had questions, we don't have any questions this week, we would be answering about now. And
Yeah.
also, don't forget to follow us on social media like Instagram, Threads, where we will keep you updated on the newest content, whatever we're working on, or if there's some sort of emergency, or if we're making some sort of special content, or if we're, asking stuff about our other series on our main channel called Politdigm Reads. I forgot to plug that in the beginning of the episode. Probably should have done that. Where, for example, this Friday, what day is it? The 18th or something? No,
Yeah,
19th.
I'm pretty sure it's Friday. It's not the 13th. Yeah,
It's no
we're so
19th. I
close.
see it. But yeah, I have an episode that I did an entire summary and a bit of a conclusion of the Communist Manifesto, and I think that I did a banger job at it, and I'm so proud of that video. So I'm very excited for both you guys and even Alpha to watch it because I think I think I did an awesome job. So yeah,
Yeah.
go check that out. And with that being said, see you guys
Yeah,
all next
everyone.
week. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Be good people.